Okay. The next stage of awareness is what we call spiritual solution aware, meaning they're spiritually open. They know that there's something otherworldly, fifth dimensional, something outside of ourselves. There's a greater power. I believe there's a God. I just don't know which one. Or, you know, I'm not saying they're all hippies, but they're aware that there's something greater going on. Okay. That's this person. They're not exactly sure the church is the answer to their spiritual problems, but they want those spiritual problems answered. They know they should go to church. They know they should go somewhere. They just don't know that your church exists to help them, to serve them. Okay. And a lot of churches think if we just keep doing what we're doing, these people are going to find us. Wrong. If you just keep doing what you're doing, they're going to find the people that are actively reaching out to this kind of person. And you know what kind of people actively reach out to the spiritually aware and open? False teachers, false prophets. You tired of me saying this all year? And wolves in sheep's clothing. Meaning they know these guys for them are low-hanging fruit because they don't know the church is the answer and they've probably never been to church. So what a great person to target and exploit and potentially even abuse. All right. And a lot of pastors will also think, well, these people will find us. The spiritually open person is not the same as the church aware person because they don't know the church is the answer. The person who's church aware knows the church is the answer. They just don't know your church is the answer. The spiritually open sees the church the same as a mosque, the same as Hinduism, the same as Buddhism, the same as, let's just be a good person and karma is going to work out. Okay? So you have to intentionally reach out to this person here in a way that shows that not only the church is the answer, but also ideally your church is the answer. And a lot of churches will never reach this person, the spiritually aware, because they are not specifically reaching inward towards their community. Now, this is not a marketing issue. This is a leadership, visionary, church leadership issue in that you're sending more money to other countries than your own internal community. Or, like we talked about similarly in a few minutes ago, you're doing events that aren't centered around the person you want to serve, the kind of person you can serve, or even who your church intrinsically is. Not only that, churches don't reach the spiritually aware because they are not online. They have a web brochure. They don't have an online resource to answer the community's problems and point them to Jesus. And so because of that, the spiritually aware will never connect with your church if you're not intentionally reaching into the community to show yourself to them, to show that Jesus can work in them through your church. And if they can't even find you online, if you're not talked about online, if you're not referenced online, if you're not referred to even online, they're not going to know about you. Okay? Now, what can happen? Here's what happens when you actually communicate to the spiritually aware. I hope you can deal with me like pointing, because like to me, there's a person right here. I'm just going to keep pointing to this person as an example. But number one, if you can communicate to the spiritually aware and show them it's not just a spiritual issue, you need Jesus. Okay, don't approach it like that, but that's essentially what we're trying to do. You will see more people submitting prayer requests on the website, inquiries on the website, clicking that plan a visit button. You'll see more people clicking through to your website, period. And you're going to get more visits from people that will actually, if you can convert them, would grow the kingdom. Because you're not getting church transplants. You're getting people that aren't really sure what's going on, but you spoke to them in a way that no one else did. And so they're going to connect with you in a way that no one else did. So the best way to do that, if you're watching the YouTube clip, you already know that. The best way to reach the spiritually open person, I believe, is Facebook ads, or in this case, Meta ads, because that includes Facebook and Instagram. But any kind of social media advertising can work for this person if you do it intentionally. And this is not, let's just post on Facebook more, let's just post on Instagram more. You're going to reach a very limited audience, or you're going to create an echo chamber of people that already know your church. Okay, if you want to reach the spiritually open, you need to pay for it. That's just how it is, right? For some reason, churches have accepted, well, you got to pay for billboards, we got to pay for newspaper ads, we got to pay for Yellow Pages ads, we got to pay for Yellow Page listings, but they haven't accepted we got to pay to be seen on Facebook. I'm telling you right now, you got to pay to be seen on Facebook. So what do you do? Number one, you got to pick a budget. Okay, you can't reach these people if you have no budget. You got to pick a budget, even if it's $2 a day. We just launched a campaign for a client last week, $2 a day. We've already had 31 people. I say last week, it was literally 3 days ago. We've already had 31 people 100% watch a video about what God can do in their lives. And another, I don't know the number, 70. And these aren't impressive numbers, but they are impressive when you realize this church has only spent $5. And they've already planted that seed in their community that God can heal them, empower them, and get them out of their current situations. It was like a 31-second video. Okay. And then what we can do is pick your next step. That's actually the next step. So once you got your budget, minimum $2 a day, and that's really what most churches, small churches need, is to pick your next step. What do you want them to do? Okay. In this church's instance, we want to connect with them over Messenger or text. And so the plan is, once we get a sufficient amount of people that have watched that video, and by the way, this is like the first ad this church has ever run. Your first church ads, you got to be very careful because Facebook will be very quick to shut you down if you do even one thing wrong or even one thing questionable. You could do nothing wrong and nothing questionable, but they just have a funny feeling about it and they will shut your account down. So you got to be very careful with this. Okay. That's why I don't like just running plan a visit campaigns if you've never run ads before, because that can be very dangerous. Anyways, pick your next step. This church, they wanted well, actually, I recommended to them, and they're going to go with it, prayer campaign. And what we're going to do is we're going to retarget the people that watched that first video, because we don't need to be spending money to reach people who have already said no to our church or haven't shown interest in our church. So we're going to do a prayer campaign to reach out with them and pray for them over the phone or over text or over Messenger to get them connected, to get them trusting us, and then invite them in to whatever makes the most sense based on what they pray for, right? Pray for my kids. Okay, well, we got a great parenting ministry. My mom is sick. Okay, well, we got a clinic. I just lost my job. Hey, we got a food pantry if you need it, right? Whatever that prayer request is, we can bring them into that next step, whatever the next step is. But that first next step is to pray. Okay. And I think that's a great opportunity to show that the spiritually aware people don't just need a spiritual answer. They need Jesus. Okay. And then you do what we call in marketing conversion, which means to get them to take that next step. And then you follow up with them. Okay. So you're not just going to pray for someone and leave them on red, or ghost them, as the kids would say. You're going to pray with them, and then you're going to keep the dialogue going. Now, is everyone going to continue talking to you? No. But you'll get more people talking to you who are spiritually open to whatever your church has to say, because they know they have a problem. They know that something spiritual, otherworldly is the answer. And they will see that your church and Jesus is the answer because you reached out and talked with them and followed up with them, even when everyone else gave up. So that's kind of the Facebook ad formula for reaching people to show that your church can stand out in the context of the spiritually open. There are other Facebook campaigns that you can run and probably should run, but to reach the spiritually aware, put something spiritual in front of them, and the ones that take that bait, follow up with them and give them a next step, because they will be most likely. And this is how we get people to go to church. We got like 75 people to go to church one Sunday afternoon for a block party for like $100, because we carefully put the ads in front of people we knew it was going to affect, and we didn't waste money putting ads in front of people that had no business and weren't ready to see something like that. This is why a lot of pastors get burned out on Facebook ads, because they just make an ad and throw it out in front of everyone, and they just get met with hateful comment after hateful comment after hurtful comment. And yeah, you shouldn't take it personally, and maybe you don't, but you got to admit over time that does wear you down. Or someone says something the wrong thing and you got to shut the whole thing down because the elder committee didn't like what they saw. Okay, so when you do it intentionally, and in this case specifically, a way to reach spiritual people, spiritually open people, you will see a greater return on just put a few dollars in, and you're going to get more people connected to you and coming to church. Okay, I don't have the book in front of me, but a book I quote often, Fusion by Nelson Searcy, he quotes a number in there. I think it's $400 to $500. A church, an evangelical church that's growing, will typically invest $400 to $500 to get one new family into their church. That number is no longer relevant, because now you can just spend a few bucks on Facebook intentionally to get someone to come to church. Now, realistically, you spend $100 to get someone to come in church, but that's still a lot better than $400 to $500 that we had to spend even a decade ago. Okay. So Facebook ads can help your church, or any social media ads can help your church stand out to the spiritually open and get them to not just consider any church as the answer, and not just get them to know about your church, but to get them connected and to your church so you can disciple them and make disciples like you're called to do.